Hey, what's up? Welcome to my Happiness Sweets. I know that I'm late on this video, but it's very important, so I still wanted to do it. This is about Tiny, her daughter Zonnique, who got pregnant out of wedlock. This was maybe about a month or two ago. It was on Instagram, the blogs was picking it up, and people were speaking about T.I. saying like you was checking the wrong daughter's virginity. They were questioning Tiny, like, why are you celebrating this like it's a good thing when she is an unwed woman, pregnant by a man who already had 3 other kids and has shown a track record. I don't know if all those kids have the same mother or not, but he's shown that he ain't marrying women, and he's out here knocking them up. So a lot of people were on one hand saying that this is not something that's to be celebrated, and we need to address this celebration of unwed single parent motherhood in the black community, where others were saying it doesn't matter, leave people alone, people ain't got to get married first to have children and all of that. And Tiny herself had came out in her defense when people were talking to her about this. She like, well, I was a single mother when I had her too, and think everything worked out. Right? So I got something I want to say about this. Number one, like she said, I was a single mother when I got pregnant with her. So that shows a generational curse that has now taken effect, because she turned around and it's a pattern. You did it and now she's done it. Other thing that I didn't like about that is everything worked out for you. That's not necessarily the case for Zonnique. Everything worked out for you in the sense that you were able to go ahead and marry and have children that were born in wedlock and have a 2-parent home. Right? Which gave Zonnique a more stable foundation as far as not being poverty stricken and stuff like that. But that is still an emotional, psychological, and spiritual hold that would be on her to not be being raised with her father, by her father, being born out of wedlock. That already puts the mother and the daughter, or the children that mother has, behind the 8 ball in a few ways. Number one, not being able to like have a 2-parent home, be with their father, see their father love on you when you love on him, see how a relationship works and interacts, and it can cause things for women to have insecurities, which Tiny might not know this because Tiny came from a 2-parent home, even though she do still have insecurities. But it wasn't daddy issues that her insecurities came from, and why she would accept what she has accepted from a man. But with a daughter and a male child, son, they need that affirmation, that love, that acceptance, and role model of their father. They need that masculine energy in their life. So yeah, T.I. came into play, but you were able to recover from having her out of wedlock. That don't mean that she was. And clearly she hadn't, due to the fact that she has ended up making the same mistake that you did. And this is, ladies, why it's a mistake. Like I said, you're a mother. She's more likely to struggle, not be able to further her education, because now she got to just work since she is a single parent. She is going to be more stressed. That's why a lot more single mothers have illnesses like high blood pressure, because you got to try and work and try and take care of these kids. The kids do lack, because by the time you get home from work, you're tired, you're worn out, you don't have the energy and time or even mental capacity to be able to invest in them emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and stuff like that. So most of the time you cooking up and microwaving a whole bunch of processed foods. You don't really have time to sit down, do homework with them, see where they need more attention at to help them thrive in subjects in school. You in poverty, like I stated, so you're working. They're not going to have the best of what they need to accommodate a healthy, stable lifestyle. So it's a lot that goes into when a woman decides to have children unwed. And no, this is not the woman's fault, but women can change and curb this epidemic and statistic by choosing to use birth control, pay attention to red flags, taking your time to get to know men. If a man already has 3 children, 2 different women, that tells you then he does not, it is not in him to say, here, I'm going to marry, not just make these women a mother, but I'm going to make them a wife. Like, you see, okay, he's not that active in their lives, because I know a lot of women, it seems like what y'all do is y'all have your own personal experience of seeing men be deadbeats and not giving attention to their children the way that they should. But then when you're dating a man who has a mother has a woman who he's had children with, you dismiss and blame everything on her. Or you allow him to do that and you accept that as an answer that, oh, right, well, the only reason why he ain't taking care of that child the way he's supposed to because it's the baby mama. It's all the baby mama. She's bitter. She still want him. She won't let him see the kids. She just want money and all. Like, so that'd be kind of strange to me. Like, are y'all really that naive or that desperate for a man? But anyway, so, like, we can curb this epidemic. I actually was born in a two-parent household. My parents were already married when they had me, and I still ended up making a mistake of having a child when I was I was a single woman when I had a child, but I was grown. Now, generational curses, because I was just talking to you about Zonnique ended up following the generational curse of her mother of having a child out of wedlock. Well, my father had his first child when he was 14, and he has other children that he had from out of wedlock. 3 of my sisters had their first child at 14 to 15. That's a generational curse. And although I was able to escape that one, didn't get pregnant as a teenager, I wasn't a teenage mom, I still ended up succumbing to the curse of having a child out of wedlock. You get what I'm saying? So, and both my parents were married, but both of the men also ended up having children from out of wedlock, where they actually had full-on affairs. I'm gonna just be honest with you. My 2 grandfathers, they didn't end up having a child out of wedlock. No, they married and then had children on my grandmothers. But anyway, my grandmothers, you know, they stayed with them back in that day and age. I don't know. I'm not even about to get into that because that's not the point. But so my father had actually came from a 2-parent household, same as my mother, but he ended up at 14 having children out of wedlock. So I don't know what the pathology is that my grandparents had on their bloodline that caused that to be the cycle for my father, but I just know once it started, it showed up in his own children's life, that they ended up doing the same thing. So I didn't like the fact that Tiny wanted to use her own circumstances to justify why her daughter. Money is not the only thing that matters. Just because you can financially take care of your children on your own does not matter. If it takes a male and a female to create a human, then it takes a male and a female to both be able to develop and raise and nurture that human. They need both. They need that masculine energy just as much as they need that feminine energy. And for women to feel that just because something can be done don't mean that it's right. Just because something is common don't mean that it's normal or right. So yes, have women had to step up and raise children on their own? Have children been able to defy the odds and be successful, be well-rounded, go on to be okay and whole as a person? Yes, but that's not the norm. And if you can prevent it, it's better too, because a lot don't end up defying the odds. A lot end up having a lot of emotional, mental, psychological problems. A lot end up in poverty, which causes them to get into other things to try and make up for that, because a 2-income home is much better than a 1-income home. I'm in a 1-income home, and though I can't even provide for my child the way that I grew up, and yes, it hurts me like hell. And I don't think that Tiny is looking at the fact that just because you feel that you overcame it and was okay, don't mean that that's the situation for your daughter. Like, have you even sat down and talked with her and asked her how she felt about the fact that she was born out of wedlock, that you aren't with her father, or how active her father is or isn't in her life? Now, people was bringing up T.I., saying that T.I. should have been more active with her. Now, this is what I noticed. T.I. tried to be an active stepfather for her. He loves that girl, and he wanted to be involved in her upbringing. What I noticed from the show that they used to have, I used to watch, not this Hustle one because I haven't watched it, I'm talking about the ones previous, when he would try to assert himself as that male positive role model for her, giving her boundaries, teaching her standards, her mother would jump in and say, well, no, she's this, she's that. So Tiny actually is the one who created this situation, because she did not allow T.I. to take that position in her life. Because I remember specifically, it was dealing with her trying to spend the night out with a boy and all that, and T.I. jumped in. He was upset about it. He was looking at her as his own daughter, and he was trying to raise her as a loving father the way he would his birth daughters. He told her about standard, about you don't go spend the night over at a guy's house. This is how a guy gonna look at this, or having guys spend the night over and all. He tried to instill those things in her because it's a man. It's not a mother who teaches the daughter her standard. A mother teaches her daughter how to be a woman. It is a father who teaches the daughter what her standard should be in her self-esteem and what she should require in a relationship. So when T.I. was trying to do that, Tiny kept jumping in, and I think that T.I. got to the point where he was like, well, you know what? The own mother is basically the one telling me, like, this ain't your daughter, mind your business. What can I do? So I believe he's like, fine, I'm gonna step off. The ones that's mad though, nope, this is my requirements, this is what I'm doing. So did he handle the situation with his own daughter kind of wrong? Yes. But I did a video about that situation, about the virginity checking thing. So go, matter of fact, I'm putting it in the description box if you guys want to check it out. My thoughts about that. Did he handle it wrong? Yes, but just go watch the video for you to know my thoughts about that. Tiny should have allowed T.I. to be that positive male force in her life, because guess what? Although her father isn't there, which is already going to be, let's say, a bruise in her soul and her heart, a void, T.I. was stepping in and showing her, look, I'm a man and I love you. I value you. You deserve the top of the mountain. And then a mom stepped in and didn't let her do that. So now that's why she has accepted less than that. I remember when I was about 14, I was talking to this guy. He's my cousin friend. My cousin was into the streets. My one of my uncles, he was a Rolling Stone or whatever. He got like 22 kids now at this point, and that's the ones we know about. Anyway, so my parents had took in my cousin to come live with us. One of his homeboys who was in the streets, because they was doing stuff like stealing cars and all that. So my parents wanted to get him from out of that environment, but he still, wherever you go, whatever you is, you're going to attract what you are. So even once he moved over there, he attracted the same type of people that he was trying to get away from. So anyway, the guy liked me, and I started talking to the guy. Guess what taught me my standard of a man? My father came and told me, that boy is a hoodlum. He is not showing you that he plans on amounting to anything. Why are you talking to him? This is that other. So I was like, oh, okay, Dad, yeah. And then my dad, I was started talking to him, seeing him behind my father's back. And then my father called me one day. We was walking home from school. We was holding hands. We told him all this stuff. And my dad just so happened to get off work early. And my dad rolled past. Oh, my dad went off on me. He said, he's a bum. What do y'all bet I ever see you him again? This and then my dad, he out of anger, but it was out of love. My dad broke down to me like, this is what the problem is. And my father was absolutely right. The dude was trash. And guess what the dude is not today? 15 years later, I think. Is that 15 years? Oh, no, it ain't 15 years later. No, yeah. In prison. He's in prison. So, it is a father who teaches daughter. And I guess what? After the end, I started, when a guy was trying to talk to me, no matter how cute he was, no matter how much game he was, I would think back to that moment of my father. Like, would my father be okay if I talked to this guy or not? And that is what stopped me from ended up dating a lot of losers and men who were not good men, okay? That don't care about you, who will have you on bullshit, who, all of that type of stuff, that'll lead you down that path. Because trust me, he was the type to where he would have been, here, can you hold this gun in your crib? Here, I got these drugs, can you hold it? Like, so, and he's the type that would have been, left you a single mother and all that. Now, I know this y'all saying like, girl, you just told us that you were a single mother. That's a whole another situation of why I'm a single mother. The guy who my father did approve of, and this is how I knew my dad approved him, is because, like I said, I stopped talking to guys because I judged them by, is my dad gonna have a problem if I talk to you or not? I had finally met a guy, and he used to court me, and he was so sweet, he was so romantic and stuff like that. And you know what, he actually even told me eventually one day, he was like, yeah, I knew I had to treat you good because your father and your brother. So that's the other thing. Fathers are a protective symbol for men to know, oh, I can't run her through the fucking mud. She got a father in her life who loves her. And so anyway, so he used to court me. He was very romantic. He wasn't never trying to press me for sex. We was courting for 2 years before I had sex with that man. But anyway, So this is how I knew. I'm like, okay, fine. First off, I had my mom meet him first, so my mom could give me the heads up on what's what. So my mom talked to me. She's like, you know what? Because my mom's the type, she meets you whether you're friends or it's the person who you're dating, no matter who it is. Family, she's gonna come. She's gonna talk to you. She's gonna try and get a scope, a feel for you. So she's very inviting, very warm and calm. But she asks a certain type of questions and pick up to get certain type of answer. Get it just so anyway. She had met him, and my mom, she came and told me. She's like, yeah. It's okay. She was like, I don't know about the age difference though, because he was 3 years older than me. She's like, I don't know about the age difference though, but him as a person, she's like, I think you'll probably be fine. So this is how I knew my father didn't have a problem with him. And when he came to meet my father, because my father knew he had been courting and stuff like that. And so I came, had him come meet him, and my father, you know, hi, hey, how you doing? And then that was it. He never came to me and said anything, so I knew like, oh, okay, I get a pass for him. So far, my father was like, okay, I ain't really got nothing to nail this dude to the cross for, so I'm gonna just keep my peace. So that's how I knew like, okay, it's cool, you know. And same with my brother, and he had a great relationship with my father and my brother, or whatever. They really grew fond of him. Because that was one of the other things. Like, when we would go out on dates and he'd come take me home, he always would be like, here, let's stop and get something to eat. I'd be like, no, I'm not hungry. He like, no, let's stop and get something to eat. And he told me later, he was like, no. And my dad told me, like, no, you, a guy, if he has you out, he is never to send you home hungry. Because he would do stuff. He would like, even if you ain't hungry, not here, just choose something, just get you something to take home that you can eat later. And I always used to be wondering, like, is he trying to flatten me up? And then it was later that it was revealed to me through him and through my father, like, no, a guy is not to send a woman who he's courting home hungry. That should be taken care of. And as a father looks at that and that grows respect for that man. And this is the other thing I'm going to tell you. My ex, that gentleman, he did not grow up in the home with his father. Because a lot of people like, oh, you make excuses for men, like, oh, well, they don't know any better. They didn't have a role model. They didn't have a male, and they like to teach them this type of certain stuff. That is not true. A man knows how to respect, love, and show appreciation to a woman. It is an innate action that they take on when they are interested or in love a woman. It comes naturally to them. Now, I ain't saying like the fine little details, but as far as respecting her, protecting her, providing for her and stuff, that comes naturally for them. It is innate and an instinct for them. So he did not have that example of seeing that. But he knew how to do it once he seen a woman where he knew it's required for me to behave this way. I didn't have to tell him, no, these are the things you need. He automatically did those things. So I want you to also know that too. Men know how to treat women. A woman that they love and they want. Men treat women the way that the women allow them to. So that is the difference. If you want to be treated a certain way, you demand that. And you don't accept anything less. And a man is either going to do that, or he gonna get the heck on. And guess what? If he get the heck on, that's a blessing for you. So anyway, that's just my breakdown about Tiny and Zonnique. Please, women, especially black women, half of the problem in our communities today is the problem. Single parent household, having children out of wedlock, having children with people who you barely even know, who don't want kids, who you don't want to even marry and stuff like no. If we could cut that down, we will be so much better off than what we are. There is hurt, pain, attachment issues, abandonment issues, low self-esteem, and stuff like that, a feeling of inadequacy when a child does not have both parents there loving and supporting it. So I would just even say that if you didn't marry or got a divorce and y'all both active in that child's life, be as active as possible. Nurture that child. Give that child affirmation. Let them know that they're loved, that they are a blessing, that they're not a ball and chain, that you pissed who their parent is and it was a mistake. Like, y'all don't even know half the shit that y'all be putting on y'all kids in these single parent households when you hate their other parents and you can't properly co-parent with them. That child is looking at them like, I'm the problem. I'm the reason why they're stuck with each other. I'm the reason why they hate each other. I'm the mistake that happened and where they wouldn't have to deal with each other. So when y'all sitting there talking about, oh, it's not a big deal to have children out of wedlock, yes it is, yes it is, yes it is. Go do your research and your studies on the statistics of children being born out of wedlock. More ample to end up abusing drugs, more ample to end up committing crimes, more ample to be impoverished, more ample to end up having a whole bunch of children themselves out of wedlock. Like, and it goes even deeper and further than that. to having anger issues, violent. Just go look at the statistics. It will show you. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.